We're live.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Kamandi, the Last Boy on Earth, being reviewed here and being exalted by myself, Jake Jacobs, and my partner, Kurt Brugel.
Howdy.
We got into this because we are creating our own science fiction comic book, and we remembered quite fondly the post-apocalyptic landscape in Kamandi comics and wanted to break them out one issue at a time for the first 20 issues and see if we can get another generation interested in these great comics made by the King, Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby is probably the single most potent comic book creator in history, at least in the Western Hemisphere. But we'll let the artwork speak for itself and the writing speak for itself. Kamandi is a series that ran in the early 70s when Jack Kirby returned back to DC, and we've been going over all of the first 19 issues to now, and we are going to be ending this mini sequence with issue 20. So
Very
when we
exciting.
it's exciting. When we last left off, we were kind of, Jack Kirby and his inker D. Bruce Berry were kind of in this formulaic mode. There's a very quick mode of making comics, which I do not blame or begrudge Jack Kirby one bit, because this way he was able to put out 3 titles a month. I don't think anybody's ever been as prolific as that. I've never heard of anybody.
No.
But he was at the top of his game as far as having a very fast style, having great ideas, stories that really stick in your mind, especially when you're little kids. And we're gonna see how Kamandi gets himself out of this fix, where he was finding himself in a Chicago, what appears to be a preserved Chicago landscape in the middle of this like post-apocalyptic destruction. And just at the end of the issue, we saw it was a huge melee between the gangsters and the guerrillas, and it turned out the gangsters are apparently all robots.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the last reveal, and they ended on a cliffhanger with the robot. You can see right there on the left. The robot is shot in the face, and you can see he's not really a human. So this begs the question: who built all these robots? Who's running them? What all is going on around here? And I imagine they're going to try to wrap this all up in this one issue. We'll have to jump in and see. Kind of a different cover for Kirby, because it's very somber. It says, "You were leaving Chicago. Come again, come again, come again." I think this is, what they say in the train station or something. But everything's in ruins, and not a lot of action, which is a little departure for Kirby.
All right.
For a cover. On the other hand, we open the page, and there's plenty of action here.
Yeah.
We see that Sergeant Ugash is being detained by a bunch of cops. All right, what's going on here? Look, officer, that mobster, get him. His face. A great disaster has struck the world. Animals are in the driver's seat and build their own cities. Men are nothing more than candidates for zoos. Their once proud cities in ruins. That is all except for Chicago. Strange things are happening there. To Kamandi, the Last Boy on Earth, Chapter 1. Not a big background here either. So we're kind of floating in limbo. I don't think we've seen a front cover so barren before. I mean, a page one so barren before. Yeah. But let's see what we get when we turn the page. Wow. Da. Puzzle 1. This is the Chicago of the gang era. Puzzle 2. The inhabitants are stereotypes who seem to be living out some kind of scenario. Puzzle 3. The man below. A gun battle has exposed his shocking true nature. It's the cops. I better take it on to Lamb. So long, kid. Grab that ugly hood. You're making a mistake, officers. He's the one you want. We'll pick him up, kid. You just come along quietly. So it doesn't seem as though it dawned on Kamandi that they're all robots.
Right.
Right. He just thinks that this one is the robot, and he's really concerned here. This is a great panel. You got the foreground, you got the background, you got the cityscape. It's nicely layered. You notice that the machine gun points to the right, points right to the next action. It really leads the eye. It's just great. But my one complaint is the lettering on Chicago Police Department. That looks like that was left to the letterer rather
The
than
intern.
rather than the artist or the intern. I'm sure if they would have had laser printers in '74, they would have had a nice Chicago logo or some kind of logo. But you love this artwork. This is all great. The muted colors in the background. Everyone's kind of like fading into, kind of like these mid tones.
This
And
green jump.
yeah, the green car. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is a lot more purple than mine. Your cops are a lot more purple.
Yes,
Mine
they
are
are. Yes, they are.
kind of like almost like an aqua blue.
Huh.
Yeah, but either way, they're cool colors, muted colors, and your fire is a lot brighter than mine. My comic is a little faded. My pages are yellowed here. So, story page 4. You're showing more sense than your friend. He's no friend. He's a gorilla. Get your paws off me, you animals! Clop, 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 bop.
Damn.
Some wise guys give the Force a real hard time. They've taken Ugash, the leader of the apes. They beat him senseless.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be awfully mad when he wakes up. Get in, buddy. As the door of the police wagon clangs shut, Kamandi is driven off into the night, his mind reeling before a strange unfolding fate. Clang, clang, clang. Again here, I'm not really seeing too many backgrounds. I gotta say, we're getting the minimum.
Yeah, who's responsible for that background? You think Jack put that in
Well,
there, or
I'm sure
Barry
Kirby's.
took a chance.
I'm sure Kirby's just whipping through these pages, and the inker, if they have time, can maybe add some of their own. But he didn't pencil anything. I mean, we understand that D. Bruce Barry was just staying very faithful to the pencils.
Yeah.
Hours later, in a jail cell, the tension mounts for Kamandi and his ape companion. They're in a city that shouldn't be there, populated by humans that shouldn't be alive, and caught up in events that shouldn't be happening. What next, do you say? Well, here's a thought. The electric chair. Chapter 2. So here we see Kirby using a third of the page with this lettering, paragraphs, kind of sparse. Now that you're awake, Ugash, I hope you're sorry that you and your apes invaded this place. You jabbering little beast, my soldiers will make rubble out of this place.
Where are his soldiers?
Suddenly, from the rear of the cell, pipe down, you bums, you're bending my ears. What? There's no end to the crazy animals here. Easy, Ugash. We won't solve this puzzle by fighting. We've got to question him, get answers. Don't give me any of your lip. I'm Killer Kraus, and I'll give the orders here, see? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see right now. Pow!
Oh, he sends him across the
This is a
cell.
little, trying to figure out who's the barn boss here, right? Get out of my way. I'm not through with this thing yet. Thing is right. Look at him. He's like all the others I fought, all wires. Yes, the other mobsters came to life after being shot. I think this one will really stay down. You really damaged him. Yeah, he's a wreck. I love in this machinery inside. Reminds me of Machine Man, soon to
Yes.
come, a
Yes.
couple years away.
Yes.
What is he? Some sort of mechanical animal? I think the answer is more complex. Oh gosh, what are you going to do? I'm going to stop talking to you. This place is getting to me. I'm breaking out. Crash.
Wow.
The ape hurls his powerful bulk at the cell bars. That should bring the cards running. Let him come. Okay, yeah, he's a strong one. But there's a strange, eerie silence when Kamandi and Ugash sight the guards. They're not moving. They look stiffer than dummies, or like mechanisms waiting to be activated. More mechanical animals, eh? This place is full of them. I've got a feeling, Ugash, a horrible feeling. So I didn't mention it before, but you notice how this word balloon is like sticking up above the panel
Yeah.
line?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened once on the page before, interestingly. And I haven't seen that at all in this series.
Oh, yeah. Well, D. Bruce Barry, he has to make some things happen in order to get that text in there.
Making it fit. I'm not overjoyed. Yeah, or that might have happened at the DC offices after everything was all submitted. Who knows? We don't know how the final word balloons got placed in here. Whether there was all happened in Kirby's home studio, where it went on.
Yeah, good question.
I'm not overjoyed myself. What's behind this door? It's too dark to make things out. There's something inside. I can sense it. Click. Hmm. The two intruders are startled by the sudden flash of bright light. Ah! Then, as their vision adjusts, dummies! We've stumbled into a mess of them this time. They're everywhere. Can it be that all of old Chicago is peopled by these? It's uncanny. They look so real and alive. But someone makes them move. What is he? Where is he? So they're just walking through here. Aha! It's a courtroom. Hear ye, hear ye. The prisoners will stand for sentencing. Order in the court. They've come to life. Then whoever's working these dummies is watching us. Wah. Chapter 3. Someone is watching you. That's not a new phrase, but in Kamandi's world, it can lead to the most bizarre and horrifying revelations. It can spell doom for the unwary, because it can weave that doom and seal it, because there's someone hidden, someone deadly. I don't know what all that meant. I think it's just a way to waste a third of a page. You're a danger to the community and must be eliminated. Okay, you public enemies, it's curtains for you. They're not kidding, Ugash. Hold it, you. As the mechanisms close in, Ugash unleashes guerrilla fury. I'll smash these walking puppets to bits. Ugash, let's get out of here. Come on, they're only machines. We've got to escape. I'll tear them apart. I'll destroy them all. Fool, gorilla. Stay if you like. I'm going to find an exit. So you see Kamandi throws a chair at one of them. They're starting to shoot. Pow, pow. Kamandi bolts from the courtroom and races wildly down the outside corridor. Ugash is no friend of mine. He can take care of himself. Get out of my way. This place is crawling with doors, but I can't find the right one. Whoa! That chair. An electric chair. It was a form of execution reserved for criminals. Outside, the corridor suddenly resounds with the voices of an approaching crowd. Voices, they're coming this way. It's Ugash. He's being overpowered. Being dragged to this room. Clockwork creeps. If I get free, I'll. Now, that is not a reference to Clockwork Orange, is it? That's a reference to being robots?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Clockwork Orange was out by now, right?
Oh, yeah.
74?
Yeah.
Yeah. Strap him down. Apply the electrode to his head. His struggles will soon stop. Let me go. Get me out of this contraption. Ugash doesn't realize it, but they're going to execute him. I've got to do something. Ugash may be tough and mean, but he doesn't deserve to be killed by machines. First, I'll borrow the pseudo-cop's pistol. I hope he's too busy to notice. Now what? Think fast, Kamandi, or Ugash will fry. So here's another theme of like your enemy is now your friend, and the circumstances changed, right?
Hmm.
Looks interesting. The electric chair looks like Kirby, checked out some real photos of it, right? Um, Story page 14. Kamandi's ears suddenly pick up sounds outside a nearby window. Street noises, and they sound like Ugash's gorillas. They're looking for him. Heads up, you grunts. He's got to be in this area. Bam! This way, you apes. Stop him. Take his pistol. The execution must go on. Execution? You're going to kill me? You can't do it. Not like this. Not like this. Ugash, I've done all I can, but there's still a fighting chance. Yeah, I guess he can't break out of those straps, huh? So this page is a little bit better, right? This is all you need is just a little indication of background,
Yeah.
some dark shapes, some shadows, right? You are not
Yes.
asking for everything, but it's so distracting to me when it's just a blank panel
Orange.
because
Yeah, when it's
yeah,
just
or blue,
orange.
right? I don't know, just me.
Kind of like this green over here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I always teach kids. I'm like, just do an indication, draw like 3 bricks. Kamandi's heart sinks as executioner proceed. Pull the electro switch. No, no. The deadly switch is on its way down when a shot rings out. Then the chamber is filled by armed and angry gorillas. I've done my bit for Ugash. This is where I bug out. Free Ugash or die. The battle rages as Kamandi edges his way toward the door. That's a nice panel with the silhouettes.
Yeah.
He makes a sudden bid for liberty and bolts from the room. Bam, wham, bam. If there's an exit from this mad town, I've got to find it now. Suddenly, wow,
Oh
every
boy.
character in Chicago is joining the action. Stop the intruders. Blast them out of town. When the shooting starts, Kamandi takes shelter behind a door. Beow, tat-a-tat-tat, pow. Kamandi quickly shuts the door and finds himself in a unique part of Chicago. Huh, this isn't Chicago of the roaring 20s. Engineering personnel only. I'm on the right track at last. Whoever runs the mechanical people operates down here. There could be many of them, humans like myself, who can still reason. Huh. So, Kamandi is hopeful that even though they're running this murdering horde of robots, that they can still that
He's
there's
such a
still hope.
kid. He's such a
Well, they're human.
teenage kid with
Well, no, but this
idealoid.
is a theme that Kirby keeps coming back to. It's like the tribalism of humans and how defensive he is towards them, even if
Hmm.
they're, morons or even if they're evil, right?
Yeah.
There's still something there, some kind of like conflict there. So, chapter 4, now for the fantastic, hope destroying truth. And we see these big, I don't know, this is supposed to be like tape reels or something,
Yeah.
giant computers. This is just Kirby's just beautiful robotic
Oh gosh, yeah.
machinery
Talk
at
about
work, right?
background.
I know.
Establishing shot too.
If listeners have never seen Kirby's blacklight posters and
Mm.
his greatest artwork is his super detailed mechanical, sometimes cosmic looking, design work. It's like futuristic, but just totally designed contraptions. It's the greatest stuff. Kamandi hears the electronic hum of smoothly functioning mechanisms. He eagerly opens the door and stops to gaze in wonder. This is it. Endless rows of working computers. Wow, I love that panel and the color.
Yes. And the
Nice.
intricate, like this is just
There's
stunning.
value.
Good Lord.
Getting your money's worth.
Hmm.
Disturbance spreading in police area.
Oops.
Am dispatching more aid. Malfunction on south side. Circuits cleared near stockyards. Emergency. Correct power surge in Sector 5. Please list all data. The computers, they're talking to themselves. It can't be. It can't be. The computers can't be running the city on their own. There's got to be human beings here. Where are you? If there are men here, show yourselves. We are in charge. Leave or be eliminated. Sure, I'll go. Only show me the way out of here. This way, please.
Great panel.
Yep.
Really great
Shows that
panel.
we're getting to like some kind of weird, some weird location. Kamandi follows the voice along smooth plastic corridors until he emerges in a vast empty terminal that isn't at all like the antique city he has seen. It's all so weird, like walking from one period of time into another. Your trip is over, sir. You've been an active participant in the Chicago of the 20s. We hope you found the experience exciting. Huh, I'll say I have. As the truth dawns on Kamandi, he feels the weight of it pressed down upon his spirit. He sees the exit and walks towards his own real world. Machines. Since the great disaster, this place has been run and protected by machines. Please come again. Bring your friends. Men never survived here because Chicago didn't survive. And now we're seeing the wreckage, kind of like the front cover, right?
Ooh, the last page. Wow.
Last page.
Wow.
Outside, the bleak reality strikes with unrelenting force, like the great disaster which spared the replica and swallowed the original. Where the real Chicago stood is a vast lake, hiding forever, another of man's once proud cities. You are leaving Chicago Land, the fully automated living museum. I'm alone once more.
Yes. Wow. That is
Wow.
something
And he
else.
is on the promenade of, so
That
that's
is
this is
it's like 20 issues to just lead to, it's like the end of the sidewalk, I mean, and humanity. There is no humanity. It's like
right.
Charlton Heston on his knees on the beach in front
Right.
of
There's nothing there.
him.
Fully automated living museum. Yeah, I mean, it still leaves some questions, but it's a fully functioning museum of mechanical replicas in this post-apocalyptic world where there's no other surviving creatures. So you wonder what it's programmed to do, and it's just playing amongst itself.
Hmm.
Interesting. So we have our last
Satisfying.
time capsule, at
Yeah.
least for now. Dear Jack, you may not think of your readership in the feminine gender, but there are a few weird chicks who really enjoy Kamandi. I'm one of them. I have a running collection starting with number one, and I honestly can't label any one as best. I've gotten a kick out of following the various controversies in the letter call. Please, let's bury once and for all the it's modeled after Planet of the Apes argument. Not only is it becoming redundant, it's pointless. I do have a question. It's probably got an obvious answer. Those are the kind I miss. Anyway, why do the humans get smarter with every issue? It adds interest and makes a better story, but is there any other reason? Thanks for a really great comic. Crystal Thompson, Larned, Kansas.
Hmm.
Thanks for the letter, Chris. The reason behind the humans appearing to get smarter is due to the fact that Kamandi covers more ground. He's discovering that humans possess different degrees of intelligence. Just as animals are smarter than others, so too are the humans. Okay. Dear Jack, I've been reading Kamandi since issue 1, and Kamandi 16 has been the issue I've been waiting for. Well, that's weird. I thought in the last issue they were talking about 12. Oh, maybe they were harkening back. Okay, never mind. Um, Finally, a story with part of the explanation of how the animals became intelligent. There's still a lot to explain, but thanks for the beginning. It's also, remember that great episode where the doctor had those notes left over as the attack on Washington
Yep.
was happening? Yeah, that was a great issue. It's also good that some of the humans have become human again by means of cortexin. I have a few suggestions. How about a story concerning Sing and Ling, the two American pandas? They
Oh my
could have made it.
gosh.
They could have made it and produced offspring that are intelligent in Kamandi's time. I'd also like to see intelligent porpoises, sharks, and whales in future stories, and keep Dr. Canis as a prevalent character. Brian Wilkes, West Springfield, Maryland. You'll get your wish very soon, Brian, since Jack is working this very moment on a story which involves Kamandi, Ben, and Renzi with a group of dolphins. Best
What?
is yet to come. Dear Mr. Kirby, just a short note to thank you for the Watergate secrets. Your brilliant satire was indeed a refreshing break from that banal issue.
Wow.
In a time where everyone is taking things so seriously, it is a rare gift to be able to sit back and laugh at our problems. Jeffrey Young, Plantation, Florida. We're glad to hear that you like the issue, Jeff. Rather than get into a lengthy debate on the pros and cons of the Watergate issue, let's just say that what Jack wanted to do was present a story that would show how Kamandi's future relates to our present in an entertaining way. We received a few letters from readers who put just a wee too bit much symbolism into the story. So for them, we'd like to make it perfectly clear it was meant to be taken in that way, strictly entertainment. Yeah, we were wondering about that too, if
Yes.
how deeply they were looking into it.
I'm so glad that they were able to make that statement, because back in that episode, that's how I was like, I can't wait till the time capsule and see how they react to it, because it was, I think that was the first really out of place issue. Like, it was in the story arcing of Kamandi moving through the landscape, but it was like, wow, man, to pick up on a at that time, big political whodaddy. Um, wow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they kind of left a lot of questions, so they're saying, yeah, there was just entertainment. Um, Dear Jack and Commanding 16, I found more questions than answers. So the animal's rise to power was the work of a doctor, huh? And after all this time of thinking it was radiation, still it's possible that the radiation speeded up the effects of cortexin. And what about the radiation of the Great Disaster? The Great Disaster in the doctor's notes was obviously a war, perhaps between New Genesis and Apocalypse, as has been previously suggested.
Oh, wow.
But the Great Disaster was natural. The only answer is then that these two events have no relation. I'm glad this wasn't the last issue of Kamandi. I was worried for a minute. I assumed the effects of cortexin are slow, so there'll still be plenty of animals left. I'm anxiously awaiting your two new books, but this one fan hopes Kamandi won't go the way of New Gods, Mr. Miracle, Demon, or Forever People. He's just too good. And Bill Matt, Dover, New Jersey. You can rest assured, Bill, that Kamandi will continue to come your way for quite some time. Finally, our last letter. Dear Mr. Kirby, Kamandi 15 is really wonderful. It's very interesting, and the art is sharper than I have ever seen in the book. In the future, I hope to see Kamandi put out a 50-cent size, and for Kamandi to start organizing his movement for mankind. I love adventure, but he must attain some purpose in order to stay as interesting a character as possible. You could no doubt run 100 issues of Kamandi. There's so much to be discovered yet in his world. Mike Carrigvin, Stillwater, Oklahoma. As far as we know, Mike, there are no plans to change Kamandi to the larger format, which, as you probably noticed, is now 60 cents. But Jack is still at the board. Bruce is still at the inks. Mike is still in Whittier. The presses are still rolling. And I'm trying to figure out a way to remind you all that our address is still the Time Capsule, Newbury Park, California. When I do find a way to fit it in, I'll trust that you'll copy it down and drop us a line. Barring a pencil shortage or an ink shortage, we'll see you here next month. And that closes the book. We have
Yes.
some ads here. Do you need extra money? The Cheerful House, Westmoreland. We have Don't Be Half a Man, Charles Atlas, the classic ad inside front, and on the back, Daisy Rifles. Daisy BB guns.
Yeah.
So,
We did it.
thoughts?
20,
Wow.
20 issues, 20 episodes. We did it.
Yeah, I
We
think
just to also say, we started our channel in May of 2022. So we're coming at the end of 2022, and just looking back, wow, this is we're having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, if you could turn to the cover of issue 20 for a sec,
Yep.
I think that is a great visual for us to go out on.
Yeah.
For folks that that want more of this, we might come back and do the other 18 or so issues of Jack Kirby's Kamandi. But there's so much other Kirby out there, and we're actually going to be turning our immediate attention to some other interesting indie comics out there.
Yes.
We haven't finalized it, but we've been discussing kind of a show and tell format, where we find an interesting comic or comics to explore during the course of an episode. Um, if it's a comic that deserves its own episode and we want to go through it panel by panel, or whether it's something that we want to do just a quicker flip through, there is so much great stuff out there to share. And people should be aware that if you're into comics, you could be going to conventions and buying this stuff real cheap. Right? The
Right.
bargain bins are full of undiscovered treasures. You just got to
Yeah.
put the time in flipping through all the boxes, right?
Yeah.
There's so much stuff, great stuff that we're going to show you that I literally got in some cases for a quarter, sometimes for $1, and it took a while, but if you go to conventions, you enjoy them. Maybe you have a comic store in your area. Every once in a while, you flip through the cheap boxes. Sometimes you want to treat yourself to something special, and you get something, that you really know what it's all about out of the back issue boxes. You could order stuff on eBay, however it gets there. But we're really trying to bring out some of the quality, entertainment in this art form that encompasses professionals, amateurs, and everything in between. And we really just love the whole kind of cottage industry, or the whole economy of it, the whole sphere of it. What do you want to call it? Like the econosphere, or
World.
what's the yeah
World of.
the universe of.
Well, my running theory has always been that like 80% of all comic book readers, fans, really want to make their own comic book. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't personally. Comics weren't the first thing to push me into my own storytelling, but it was Saturday morning cartoons and then after school cartoons. But the format of taking Dad's typing paper or computer paper he would bring home, and 8.5 by 11, folding it in half, and then having this blank little book to then just start on the cover, and you write the title of your story and you put your characters and all that fun stuff. And I, by the way, do have mine still, and then go from there. But then when I was introduced to comics, um, it just it's blown my mind to the point that I'm where I'm at now, and I still feel just as excited and enthusiastic as I did when I was like 8, 9 years old. And I think comics just
What
hold
was your
that kind of
first character?
fandom. What's that?
What was your first character that you were drawing, that you started drawing when you were a
I
little
had a
kid?
team. I was into Battle of the Planets. It was a cartoon, Japanese. It's called
Oh
Gotchamon.
God, a Seven
But
Dark Seven.
yeah, yep, yep, yep.
Oh God, I thought that was the greatest.
I still do. I still do. But the yeah, I was that, and then they were called the Fantastic Force. So there was they were all guys. They're all young men. Um, so there was no Fantastic Four per se because I don't really get connected to that till way later. But it's really interesting to just see how um, I kind of play the redundancy of the cartoon, which was they're all hanging out in their command center, having conversation and coffee, and then on the big monitor, the bad guys have shown up, and then they got to go face them out on the battlefield, and then they go out and someone's injured, or I think one of the guys, I think his name was Kofi, something like that. It's kind of trying to come up with different sounding names. And his plane gets shot down. And of course, then he's taken care of by others and has to make his way back and everything. So, and this was all, and we've talked about this in before, and I think it was in our Turbo Pit Fighter episodes, where I had a friend in school, sixth grade, Dante Whitley. If he ever hears this, Dante, you're a big part of this in my world. Um, where we were literally taking lunch breaks and stuff and sharing comics, and then you would make it, and then you just gave it to the other guy. But some of them I
Yeah.
held on to. I think we did like a trade back, but he gave me a Daredevil Frank Miller. Can't remember the issue, but it was basically the first time we get to see ninjas, and Kung Fu Black Belt Theater sent me off into Ninja World. So I could talk about that to the cows come home. But yeah, I
Yeah, well,
just think there's
that's not.
something here, and we're here to discuss it with others.
Yeah, for me, I go back farther. I think I was only 3 or 4 when I was starting to draw Underdog. On and I loved like the idea of a black flare paper meat on on lined paper or whatever I can get my hands on. I mean, if I could find a great black flare paper meat pen, I was like in heaven.
Yeah,
I drew my own cartoons, based on TV stuff. I remember there was some monkey and a lamb cartoon. It might have been Japanese. I was just a tiny kid. And then, yeah, when I started getting into comic books, um, Spider-Man, Marvel, whatever I can get my hands on. And then as I got older, I got into all the Marvel titles. I was just swept away by the primary colors and, all the great, Marvel offerings, Werewolf by Night and Defenders. And, I was just gobbling it all up. But, Spider-Man was kind of mainstream, but I was also like going off the beaten. I wasn't into Avengers. I hated Superman. Um, I really got into like, Master Kung Fu Defenders, Howard the Duck. Like when that came out, I was huge on that. I was always kind of like on the fringe. I followed writers like Bill Mantlo and Doug Mensch. Um, and I made my own comics, but you know, yes, there is a DIY component, and it isn't just art. It's also writing too. You
storytelling.
know, and that's the thing about Asia that's a little more natural, where you can be a participant because they have that whole fan fiction universe,
Yeah.
alongside, that runs parallel. And we in the West, we haven't embraced it the same way as they have, in the East. They would actually publish, in the back pages, stories and drawings that fans would submit, and then there would be all these, separate publications, and there would be no copyright problems or anything because it was very clear, that these were the amateurs, and they were just kind of like a little, stomping ground or a little sandbox that they were playing in, right?
Yes.
And and we do have our our fanzines, and we do have our fan communities in the West. We were just talking about Deep Bruce Berry, coming up through that, and a lot of people came up through that. But I don't think it's as automatic. I think those are your nerds, your comic nerds. Whereas in Japan, it's like everybody's part of the game, right?
It's
It's
amazing. It's amazing how integral manga is to the entire society. Thing that
yeah,
blew me away when I was there, and it still sticks with me. I had bought a Shonen Jump and was getting on the train to go to work, and got on the train. It was like a 30 or so minute ride. I was in Hiroshima during college, and just stuck my head right into the Shonen Jump. Was going for my favorite stories at that time, and didn't really look around at anybody else. But when I came to my stop, I stood up and no, excuse me, before that, we had come to a stop, and I did look up, and uh, two gentlemen got up, and they put their Shonen Jumps or whatever, manga, maga, phone book up into the carrying case, the shelf above the seat. And I was like,
Yeah,
what the
the
hell?
the,
I was
the
like, what the?
receptacle.
I was like, what the hell? And then a couple
The-
people came on. It was like a library. They got on, they looked up at the top, they grabbed one, they sat down, they started reading. And so when I was leaving, I had to quickly, I did it. I just threw that mine in there, and then I just randomly grabbed something else just to check and everything, but check it out. But
Built-in manga receptacles.
yeah,
They're
and
in every.
I couldn't bring
They're
that
on the
stuff
top of
back.
the
I couldn't bring
garbage.
all of that stuff back that I was. So when I was on the last couple of days there, I just left them all on the train. So
Of course, and
it just blew my mind. I mean,
it's not just the train. They're built in to the buses. They're built into the trash cans outside.
yeah,
In fact, when it rains, that's when everything gets ruined because the trash cans when you're crossing the street. I was in Tokyo in '99.
yep,
Um, the top of the trash can has this convex part where you just drop manga as you're crossing the street, and then
yep,
somebody picks it up on the way home.
yep.
And if it rains, oh well, it all gets wet. But you know what? It's all the cheapest newsprint anyway because those big Shonen Jumps and all those are just disposable rag that are only have like the latest 5 pages that are eventually going
For
to
that
be
week,
compiled into a book that you're going to buy in the
right?
bookstore later anyway.
It's great. It's so great. Yeah, it's we're not even in the same
People, yeah,
league.
people, if you get a chance to go to Japan and see the culture of manga, men, women, and children, old ladies,
Yes.
you know,
Yep.
all, and the adult manga, the manga for kids, it's just a whole different way of looking at comics in that societies that I mean, it is finally spilling over to America in greater numbers, but I saw a figure that said that this was a couple of years ago, 1 in 20 Americans regularly indulge in comics, whereas 1 in 4 Japanese,
Wow.
and that's all age groups, and it's also Italy too. There's other European nations that also have a more ingrained,
Well,
you know,
there you're releasing a book, like a graphic. It's a graphic novel. It's a whole contained story. It's written by one or written and drawn by one individual. It's a whole like they have bookstores. They're not comic book stores. When you go into, I was in Florence and tracked down this one shop, and it was like a small Barnes and Nobles, 2 floors, nothing but shelves facing out, covers of comics.
right? Yeah, and same thing in Japan. It's like
Yeah,
the bookstores, and you walk in, and there's people there that are leaning and reading, and there's people there that are buying, and it's a whole different world.
yeah. So, with that being said, let's not keep these good people from their joy of reading comics and such, but thanking all of you if you've made it this far in the episode. And if you listened to all 20 of ours, seriously, thank you. And if we're speaking to you, leave comments and contribute because we're also doing our own comic, Turbo Pit Fighter, 6 issues. Issue 1 is written, issue 2 is almost written, and you're on page 12, right?
Yep.
Penciling,
I'm penciling page 12. Yep.
right, right. And I'm on inking 20. Let me just give you guys a little taste here. So
Mm-hmm.
this is
Looking
about
good.
70% inked, and yeah, we're doing this because this is what you do nowadays when you make a comic book is you share the process online. We're doing it through YouTube in this video formatted podcast, and we're going to keep doing it because we've got 6 issues to get to our graphic novel, Turbo Pit Fighter, and many, many more. Since Jake and I are very, very much into comics, and we've known each other for, good God, I hate to
Yes,
say close to 30 years.
we are scheming, and we're both headed towards retirement, and so
Yes.
I'm kind of entering a fertile time on my plotting and writing and scripting mind,
Yeah.
which I've been in before, but I kind of got out of it. I've been a teacher for a long time, and so now I'm looking forward, because I'm going to be quitting my full-time gig in 2028, and I'm going to be sitting down to start doing comics, and I'm going to need some scripts. So I'm doing all that, pre-work right now, and I'm developing a couple of different series. Obviously Turbo Pit Fighter is underway, being created right now, but um I'm also going to be tightening up some storylines. We're going to have Turmoil on the Planet of the Sex Robots. We're going to have Kill Crazy Priests in Space. And I'm working on an all-girl superhero team, which I was going to call the Casualties, but I might call the Exceptionals or the Exceptions instead. I don't know. I'm still working that out, and I got some great ideas flowing. It's going to be kind of sci-fi, and it's going to also like take a look at superheroes kind of like The Boys does, like how corny it is, and how crazy it is, but meanwhile there's still a lot of supernatural stuff going on. And what else? Oh, and then we're just kind of like playing around with the beginnings of an idea for an all girl strong team. And what I've started to do this past week is I started to catch up on my Russ Meyer. So maybe because you were mentioning
We
that
could
you love
we could do
seven.
that too. We could talk. We could do like a film discussion.
Well,
Um,
what we need to do is try to find what has been committed to comics, because you mentioned the 70s before. Ross Meyer, there's definitely something there about empowering women, or
yeah,
but also at the same time, he was obviously like this ogler of women and this kind of like breast enthusiast.
yeah,
So we're not necessarily, coming from the same point of view, but I am developing a a team of powerful women, and I would love to have you aboard for the ride, and coming up with some of the stuff, and running past you what I have so far. But it's coming together really, really great, and I think it's going to be kind of like a comic or a graphic novel about a movie about
yeah,
somebody like Russ Meyer, who's
yeah,
putting together a movie and assembles a team of actresses that are not really actresses. They're just real, kind of stocky women, substantial women, and then things go horribly wrong, and the movie and the lines get blurred between what is the movie and what is real life, as
right,
they try to salvage the movie, and the auteur will meet his end in mid production at some point in some horrible way, and that will only open up a series of questions about who he was, who he's working for, what he was doing, and I think it's going to end up being that he was involved in like these like international ring of women admirers of women who wanted to capture them, take them to an island, and mate them with powerful men, but the auteur put like a monkey wrench in the works, and he wanted to have them for himself. and he wanted to enslave them. We will find out. And so
Well,
the
I was thinking because we this is the second time we've brought this up, and I was thinking this might be one of those breakouts where we literally from start, you know, just have notes and going back and forths and just revealing
yeah.
different things because like I said, I have been working on a very similar story. It doesn't quite have the nuances that you've been speaking to, but it has the subtext to it and the
Hmm.
sort of the admiration I have for not only Russ Meyer but just like you said, I think the fallibility of looking from the outside in, like Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, I saw at 3 o'clock in the morning in a Philly bar, an after hours club actually called the Black Banana. And literally, I think I literally watched the whole thing standing there till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
Tracked it down, found it at the Strand in New York, drove up and got a hold of it. And still to this day, I cannot get enough of that. Uh, B
Right.
movie quality, black and white,
Yeah.
quick action,
Quick cuts.
bizarre, even if not perverted subplot. I mean, we've got a lot, you and I, to venture off into, and we're using this platform as exactly that. We're going to be trying different things out, but most importantly, we're going to be making comics.
Yeah, I just saw Faster Pussycat last night again. I
Uh,
watched like maybe half an hour of it like
uh,
2 weeks ago, and then I just finished it off last night. And you know, I what I've also been doing is listening to podcasts of Russ Meyer, his whole story, his whole biography,
oh, you got to send
and
me links to that. I don't have that.
yeah, you just go to Apple Podcasts and put in Russ Meyer. You'll
Okay,
come across a couple of them, and there's like podcasters kind of like us, just shooting the breeze, and but they
cool.
do some research and they go over it, and it's kind of repetitive after like the second or third one. But um, the interesting thing is that Faster Pussycat was considered one of his landmark films, and put him on the map. And then Beyond the Valley of the Dolls was his big studio production. But there was a movie that he made called Vixen,
Yep.
1970, very, very controversial, racial stuff,
Hmm.
sexual stuff, exploitation stuff, and it made him a ton of money.
Yep.
He has all the rights to it, and he made a bunch of movies that were that are not considered great examples of his work, but all of his stuff he owned personally and he kept. So now his estate is doing apparently a really poor job of making them available to the public, and you have to go to like foreign imports and stuff,
Yeah.
or you just have to like watch them bootlegged, streaming. If you want to like buy an official DVD, let's say, they haven't made them. The last thing they did was like VHS, and Russ Meyer was a lot for that, and he oversaw it himself. They said never have they seen such painstaking quality in a conversion from analog to from to VHS
Yeah.
format,
Film to VH. Yeah.
right,
Film to
and
video.
he oversaw all of that like painstakingly, and he charged through the wazoo for it. um Russ Meyer, kind of descended into Alzheimer's, and so now, and then he didn't have any kids, so his estate, I'm not sure who's running his estate. I guess it's some kind of trust, but
Yeah.
he donated everything he had. He was worth millions, and he donated it to Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and some of his old army buddies. So I'm not sure who's running the trust, but apparently all these podcasts are saying that there's a website called RM movies.com or something, and they you can still buy VHS, but it's very difficult to get the good copies of the other movies, unless you go on the bootleg circuit. And I want to start seeing them, because I think Vixen, and then there's Ultra Vixens, and Beneath the Valley of the Ultra Vixens, which was his last one. I
Yeah.
think he does get into some kind of like like not teams, but adventures of the of buxom women and antics ensue. So I want to see, before we really sit down and really stitch out the idea, where he goes first with it, because I am basing a character on him, and and I need to do my research. So plus it's just so interesting to watch the movies. They're all, some of them are different, in how adult they are. Some of them are really not that adult at all. I mean, Faster Pussycat doesn't really show any nudity at all.
Yeah, and there's
Um,
only one roll in the hay, literally speaking. So
yeah, and there's no, there's nothing really sexual. It's really just kind
no,
of like Gonzo.
yeah.
And and a lot of his movies, a lot of his other movies are like that. Um, but yeah, it's worth checking out some podcast retrospective, like of his life, and and my homework right now is to catch up with Vixen. There was something I think called Black Snake. There's Super Vixens, and then Beneath the Valley of the Ultra Vixens, and a bunch, maybe like 7 or 10 other movies, that were just entries in the catalog, that are not considered, memorable for one reason or the other. But I might just see it, go through them all and see if there's any value there.
All right then. Well, like I said, let's let these people get up there and read some comics, watch some Russ Meyer, and
Yep.
check out our Turbo Pit Fighter and any of the new breakout content that we get into. But thank you very much for joining us on this first
Bye,
breakout
everybody.
journey.
Yep. See you next time.
All right,
Peace.
later.